Oh no.
I got my I'm about to try it for the first time.
You got what?
Buzzball. The one you
Hell
told
yeah.
me to get. I finally found in Blacksburg.
Guess what I got?
What? Ooh, yes. what I told you
And I haven't tried it with the lemonade yet. Besides last night, I made one little tiny drink of it to try it. And I was like, this is good.
Ooh, so we're both about to try something new on camera.
Yeah. I don't think you've hit record yet. Did you?
Oh, I did.
Oh.
I did. Surprise!
I made my lemonade so full that I'm scared I'm going to spill it.
I have water in my cup, but I got the buzzball.
Cheers.
Cheers. Woo.
Is it cold?
Well, uh-huh.
Okay, I was like, savage. If you were drinking that hot, savage. Gross.
Nah.
Oh, but it's good to be back. What do you think about that? Is it too strong? Is it not good enough? Is it...
It's a little strong.
What I usually do is pour it over ice. And it kind of, over time, waters it down a little bit. Keeps it cold AF. And...
yeah, this is cold. I had it in the freezer earlier.
And they make two versions of that one. They make one with vodka like that and one with wine.
What do I have?
Orange wine, probably. Or orange. It's usually the first thing on the front, on the ingredients. They'll say orange wine or something.
Oh, wine. Yeah, I totally overlooked that. Is that orange wine? Okay.
This is so good.
We're back, bitches.
We missed y'all.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, yeah, we've been a little MIA. Life things
Just a little
have happened.
bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Life happens. That's for sure.
We had a hurricane that somehow
Helene?
affected us. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Helene.
The My Chemical Romance song.
Stay in her lane.
You remember that one? That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It was a good one.
Song.
But, yeah, that happened. Knocked our power out for, like, days. Our internet out for a couple of weeks. Then we ended up moving. Yeah. Then I took a job that has made my life miserable for the past few months. Been a really negative experience.
But something better is coming.
Something better is coming, and it's put me in a bit of a slump. But life stuff. But we're back. We're moving on.
We are back, and we're
still doing the damn thing.
We always do the damn thing, and we hope that you guys are always doing the damn thing too.
All right, so getting into it, I'm so excited to be.
This is a great episode to come back with too.
I know, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to do this episode for like a solid year now. Like literally, this is April right now. We're recording, and we went to Waverly Hills Sanatorium last April. So obviously, if you read the title, you have probably gathered that we're talking about Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Can't believe it's been a year already.
Tom Green, I know.
Oh,
a whole year.
Tom
like,
Green
literally
too.
This week.
Yeah, it's
that
the
we're recording in April. Is
the 19th, 18th, 20th, something like that.
Yeah,
because I was in Nashville.
We went on.
Actually, watching 49 Open for Tyler Childers.
Yes. We were both on road trips this time last year.
That's insane.
We were on a road trip right now.
Me too.
Yeah. Do you remember? We were actually messaging. Oh my goodness, can you hear the train? New apartment, sorry. First time recording here.
I can't, but I only have one headphone in, so I'm trying to like clog this ear and like I couldn't hear it, but
well, I apologize if you hear the train or any other weird noises because, like I said, new apartment. New environment,
new things to We'll
see how things go. Yes. But we were texting because you were supposed to let me know when you got to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like kind of keeping tabs on you because we have this group chat with our moms. Because if you don't know, me and Andrea's moms are sisters. And we're all like ridiculously close. And we have a Life 360 group where we can track each other's locations at all times.
Yeah.
And so
some would say it's stalkerish, but we just want to make sure that we're okay.
I was checking her location and I was like, she hasn't got to Nashville yet. She should be there by now. So I look on Life 360 and I still have a screenshot. I'm gonna try to insert it if I can. I thought you had gotten kidnapped and were like literally in a storage container.
Yeah. I'm just in the car, just ate Chick-fil-A. I get a message from you, and it's a picture of like my face, like my profile pic.
Like, are you okay?
In a storage container. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And you're like, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm at Chick-fil-A.
I also love the fact that I thought you got abducted.
I know. I'm just like, I think I still have that picture too. I think I like saved it in my phone. And, it was like a newer Chick-fil-A, so I think that was an old picture of like what it looks like there. When they were building it. Yeah. Because I definitely was not in a storage container.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was hilarious because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was funny. And then we were like closer to each other on our vacation to different states than we are when we're at home. And it was weird.
Yeah. Who knew? Like, I don't know. I don't look at maps, but
me either. And you're like, we're an hour and a half away from each other. Like, what?
Yeah, I didn't think Louisville was that close to Nashville. Like,
we're bad with maps and words. They just be like that.
Yes. All right. So yeah, getting into everything. I'll tell you how Tom Green ties into this whole story a little later in the episode. But last April, my husband and I were on a road trip to go ghost hunting at one of America's most haunted locations,
Y'all are crazy.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium. We are crazy. That's what everyone keeps telling us, but it's just like normal for us. My dad's like, y'all are weird.
No.
That's normal? What y'all want to do for fun.
Fun?
Yeah.
No. Scared? Yes.
But like if like you even know Waverly Hills.
Yeah, because you watch ghost
shows and stuff. Yeah. So like pretty much anybody who's into the paranormal, even a little bit, you've probably heard of Waverly Hills. You've probably heard of the paranormal.
Yeah. If you're into it, you've probably heard of it. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You're a paranormal believer. Because there's people out there that don't believe at all. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, my husband being one of them.
Yeah. My boyfriend being one of them.
But he's a really big skeptic.
No.
Like,
mine just is like, no, that's not real. And I'm like, I've had things happen to me. It is real.
Exactly.
But anyways, yes, most people know about Waverly Hills.
But if you have not heard of Waverly Hills Sanatorium, I'm going to let you know a little bit of history before we get into all the other story time. Learn them up.
Vroom, vroom. I'm in my mom's car.
Let's go.
Vroom, vroom.
All right, so, oh, I've missed this. Okay. So, what do you know? Tell me what you know first off about Waverly Hills before we get into it, before I let you know. Because I don't even know how much you really know other than that it's haunted.
I feel like it was used as a like a hospital for sick people or a quarantine area for people who had like a cough and it spread quickly. And a lot of them were sick and crazy and people like probably were murdered and all kinds of stuff. I don't even want to say certain words because I don't know if I can because of YouTube.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you know the specific word for like the sickness?
TB or?
Yes.
Tuberculosis.
So in the early 1900s, tuberculosis was one of the leading causes of death, and naturally, they needed like hospitals to treat tuberculosis patients because it was like our 2020. It was like the pandemic.
Oh, like the COVID
it was
outbreak.
like this. Yeah, like almost exactly. I remember when I first heard about this and I was watching like Waverly Hills like history on TV. I was like, oh wow, I'm glad we live in modern times and we don't ever have to worry about that. Ha, ha. Then years later, 2020 happened and I'm just like,
everyone freaked out
okay.
and no one knew what to do.
Yeah. And so I imagine that's kind of a similar situation for them, but it lasted much longer. It lasted like years and years and years.
Okay.
Because for a long time, they didn't even know what caused tuberculosis. They didn't know how it spread or how to treat it. So it was just kind of like up in the air. There was a lot of experimental treatment going on. But anyways, these
a lot of cowboys died from
popping up. Yeah, like speaking of... Okay, so our grandparents used to watch really old movies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I ever heard of tuberculosis, I didn't know it was tuberculosis because they used to say they died of consumption. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Consumption.
Of what?
Right? So consumption is tuberculosis. But I used to think those are two completely different things because they would say consumption. And I used to think when I was a kid that consumption, I don't know why I thought this, but I used to think that consumption meant you were an alcoholic and they died of being an alcoholic.
I mean,
I don't know why I thought
that's
that.
kind of what consuming is like, hey, we consumed these drinks. That's consumption, but like, why did they name it that?
I do know why they named it consumption, but I don't know why the heck I thought it was alcohol. So they
probably because back then in the movies and things we watched, they would give them like whiskey and be like, just drink some of this for the pain.
Yeah, maybe that's why I thought that.
So maybe you correlated that.
That's a good reasoning. Yeah, that is possible. But yeah, a lot of them had cowboys in it, so it made me think of our grandparents, and like they would always say, like, "Oh, they have consumption."
Alcoholic
anyways, they would call it that. They would call it consumption because most patients with tuberculosis, they would have like really dramatic like weight loss, and it looked like they were being consumed.
Oh,
like,
okay.
They were just wasting away. Yeah.
Sad.
So
withering and
so that's
in the hospital.
Yeah. It's depressing.
Yeah, that is very sad.
They called it like a lingering disease too, because a lot of the times, like some people would die really quick with it that had like weakened immune systems, but then other people, I mean, you could have it 30 years. I mean, and just be sick. Goodness. So it was basically kind of like COVID. It was an airborne illness spread through like coughs and sneezes and like little droplets that escaped from your mouth. So like I said, the need for more hospitals were on the rise because back in the early 1900s, tuberculosis was one of the leading causes of death in America. So in January of 1908, the Board of Tuberculosis Hospital bought 126 acres from this guy named Major Thomas Hayes and his wife Georgia Hayes, and Waverly Hills Sanatorium opened its doors on July 26, 1910. Now, if you know anything about Waverly Hills, you're probably picturing this huge 5-story Gothic style Tudor building that's there today, the building that we visited. That was not what was built first in 1910. It was just a 2-story like hospital that could only hold like 40 or 50
that's
people.
Not big enough.
Yeah, so over the years, like multiple buildings popped up on the property. This 126 acres.
That's a lot of acres.
And then they built like
they need a lot of buildings.
They built like a they did. They had like a children's area. They built a hospital for advanced cases, which is where they treated African American patients that came through, because it was during those segregated times, and they had like they separated them by gender and by race. So it's like white women and African American women, white men, African American men. They were all separated. So the name Waverly originated with a teacher named Lizzie Lee Harris, who was actually hired by Major Thomas when he had set up a one-room school on his property for his daughters because the land that he owned, the land that the Board of Tuberculosis Hospital bought, was kind of secluded, kind of away from the town, which was part of why they wanted that.
Yeah, keep it away from everybody. Don't get everyone infected. Yeah.
Exactly. So he had set up a school for his daughters there on the property before it was bought, and he let the teacher, Lizzie Lee Harris, choose the name of the school, and she picked Waverly Hills after the novels of Walter Scott. And Mayor Thomas liked the name so much that he decided to keep it and put it as the name of like his estate.
Wow.
And then when the board bought the land, they disliked it too, and they just decided to keep it Waverly Hills.
I like that they kept it because I like the name. Yeah. It's not bad.
But cases unfortunately continue to increase, and the need for a much larger facility to treat tuberculosis patients was greatly needed. And so in 1924, construction began on the property for a brand new 5-story building, which is the one that is there today that most people think of when they think of Waverly Hills.
The one that you saw on Ghost Adventures or any other show, probably. That's the main one they go into.
Yes. And it was completed in October of 1926. And
2 years? That's not bad for 5 stories.
No, because it's a huge, very intricate like building. So yeah, 2 years, that's not bad. And they, with that new building, they were able to house up to like 400 to 500 patients. So a lot
better
bigger.
than 40 to 50.
Yeah.
Add a couple zeros on there.
This building was state of the art too. There was a recreation room, a beauty parlor, a barber shop, as well as a library, a chapel. And on the property, Waverly Hills, they had their own like post office. They had their own farm. It was like a whole community. A lot of the employees that worked there lived there.
If I say this, will it mess up the episode?
Let's find out, shall we?
Is this the episode where Zach wears that like
I don't think so, no.
You know what I'm talking about? The
weird... plague doctor?
Yes, no, not the same thing.
No.
But do you think they wore those in this time? Or they advanced?
No.
So everyone working the hospital got TB too. Because they didn't...
No, not everybody.
...protect their...
No, eventually they found out like what caused, like how it was spread. And they knew it was like airborne, so they knew to kind of like, I don't know if they wore a mask, but yeah, they knew to kind of like keep their distance and like cover their, whoever did have it.
I wonder if that's when that started.
Protect other people. What?
The learning how
doctor?
to learning how to like cover your sneezes and your coughs, like they teach you that in school
probably.
And stuff. They're like, hey,
because they did send out like pamphlets and things like telling people to wash their hands and to cover their mouth.
That's probably where the guidelines for staying away from illness came from, or trying your best to.
Yeah. Honestly, like definitely during this time, and because of stuff like tuberculosis going around.
And the researchers and scientists that are figuring it out.
Yes. And the plague doctor, by the way, that was like during the plague. Which was like
the bubonic plague,
years and years before. Yeah, like that time period.
I'm sorry, sometimes the episodes just
not
mix.
The 20s.
They just mesh. And I'm like, whoa, was that the time he put the mask on? Because that freaked me out when he put it on. I was like, I don't like that. Sorry to like side mission us, but
it's okay. They didn't really know. They were finding out how tuberculosis was spreading, but they didn't really know like how to treat it. There wasn't like very effective treatments. So they pretty much just told everybody what most doctors tell you when you're recovering from an illness. Have a healthy diet, drink plenty of, water, get some fresh air, rest. That was kind of the main thing they would tell everybody. And fresh air was a big, big thing because they thought that fresh air would help your lungs. Which tuberculosis, like, a lot. See, like, that's what I always thought was just with, like, your lungs.
Yeah, like a bad, like, pneumonia or bronchitis or something like that.
But, like, extra bad, yeah. I just always thought just your lungs, but apparently it can affect other parts of your body, including your brain, and it can spread to your bones. So the types of experimental treatment that they had was heliotherapy and artificial heliotherapy. Heliotherapy was exposure to sunlight, and artificial heliotherapy was exposure to a sun lamp.
Okay, which makes sense because you get vitamin D from the sun, so that's good for your body to fight off illness.
Yes. Yeah, they really thought like fresh air and sunlight was really important to treating
when I had COVID, I did that. I would go outside every morning, set it in the sun, and sweat out stuff, and like breathe in the air, take my vitamins.
And at Waverly Hills, like if you've seen the building, which I know you have, like the porches that they had on the outside, I think it was called a solarium, and it was just like an open porch, and they would actually roll the patients' beds out onto the porch so that they could get like maximum sunbathing, like exposure to sun, and the fresh air. So those don't sound too bad. Heliotherapy, artificial heliotherapy, that doesn't sound bad, but it gets more extreme.
Oh gosh.
So there was a thing called artificial pneumothorax, which is where doctors purposely collapse a patient's lung in time to give it like time to heal and rest.
Oh, that sounds very dangerous. So they would just
like collapse.
No, thank you. I would want to go in the sun first, please. Can we try the sun before you do that?
You already can't breathe. Like you're having issues breathing. That's going to make it
100 times worse until hopefully it heals 50-50. We'll see.
Yeah. I think it did help some people, or they said it helped. I don't know. I just don't see how that would help. And then there was a lobectomy, which is where they would remove diseased parts of the lung or just take out the whole lung altogether, like, and then you just don't have it for the rest of your life.
Oh, then what? Oh my goodness.
You just you can't breathe.
Like a fish out of water.
Yeah. And then there was a thing called I suck at names. Thoracoplasty. Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds about right,
it's guess. Where, I don't know.
We're not doctors here.
Let's go with it. That's where they would take out several ribs. They would remove parts of your ribs to give like the lungs time to not time, but room to expand.
Wow.
When you breathe.
What? Ow. That's permanent, dude. What?
Yeah. And so when we were there, the tour guide actually told us a story about a guy who was a former patient at Waverly Hills. And he said he came back years later to take one of their tours, and he told them that he had that surgery done and it saved his life.
Wow. Well, hey, he survived, so I guess he's like, I'd rather have less ribs and be here than not be.
But while he survived to tell his story, not everyone who entered Waverly Hills Sanatorium was as lucky.
Oh, I bet there was a lot that didn't leave.
Yeah, death was a regular occurrence there, and not wanting to bring down patient morale, a 525-foot underground tunnel was constructed to transport the bodies off the property without the patient seeing. It was also used to transport supplies and stuff, because I think there was a railroad that they would get supplies and take back and forth. But this tunnel has become known as the Death Tunnel or the Body Chute.
Ooh, that's morbid.
Yeah, and it's a hot spot for paranormal activity.
Oh, I bet you went there.
Well, I did. I'll tell you about it.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Later on in the episode. All right, so there's a lot of speculation as to how many people died at Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
How many actually did?
So, over the years, I've heard things like there was a death an hour, there was up to 60,000 patients that died there. Yeah, but record keeping was kind of sketch back then. They just like weren't that good at it.
That wasn't their
there
priority.
wasn't like computers. Yeah, and there wasn't like computers that logged everything, and like so sometimes some records would get lost
or damaged.
You know, there was no way to really like have a definitive number. Yeah, there are estimates that it's like anywhere from 6,000 to 20,000, which is still pretty bad.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, so there's no like I can't tell you like a definitive number.
Because no one knows.
A lot. But in the early 1940s, an antibiotic called streptomycin was found to be effective in treating some forms of tuberculosis.
Nice. There comes the antibiotics.
Antibiotics. Yes, to save the day. Stuff that we take for granted.
Yeah,
like
honestly.
They didn't have. And in the 1940s, it was still new. So even though that's when like the antibiotic kind of started to show like itself being effective in treating tuberculosis, they would still sometimes have to pair it with certain patients. They would have to pair it with sometimes still surgery and other drugs.
Oh, okay. Combo.
To really help. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody's case was a little different.
Or the severity would be different.
Yeah. And it still took over almost 20 years. That's from the discovery of the antibiotics.
Imagine how many people died in those 20 years.
Yeah, still a lot. Because, I mean, like, some people probably didn't have access to it still. Yeah. After almost 20 years after the antibiotics were discovered, there was a decline in cases, and the closure of Waverly Hills happened in June of 1961. The last few patients that were remaining at the hospital were transferred to a nearby hospital that also treated tuberculosis, which was called Hazelwood Sanatorium.
Why do they call these hospitals sanatoriums?
Well, I actually looked into that one time because there are some that are called sanatoriums and there's some that are called sanitariums. And from what I gathered, a sanatorium was specifically to treat tuberculosis patients, but a sanitarium also treated other patients like more of a hospital type of thing.
Well, thanks for answering my question. Back on to the show.
So the patients were transferred to Hazelwood Sanatorium, which was close by, and they basically closed Waverly Hills because they didn't feel like there were enough cases finally in 1961 to justify having both of the hospitals open because they were so close together.
And they're big.
And the cases
the
were
one
going
is
down.
5 stories, so probably about money, saving money on bills.
Oh, for sure. So, a year after the closure happened, in 1962, the nonprofit Kentucky Geriatrics, I don't know why I struggle with that word, Geriatrics Foundation signed a lease to reopen the building as a convalescent care facility for older patients. Basically a nursing home.
Yeah. Taking care of the elderly.
And, yeah. It was originally called Waverly Hills Geriatric Center and later renamed to Woodhaven Medical Services. But sadly, after reports of neglect of elderly patients, which oftentimes happens in those type of facilities, Woodhaven closed its doors in 1981. But it was open for basically 20 years. So
that's pretty cool that it got to carry on as another sort of support for not really a disease, but people that can't really take care of themselves anymore.
Yeah, it just sucks that
they were neglected.
Had a negative.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Woodhaven's closure, the building changed hands a few times. This is fun. Okay. At one point, it was almost turned into a prison.
Oh, interesting.
A paintball facility.
What?
Which is my favorite.
That sounds fun. Facility.
I know, I love paintball. Apartment buildings.
More death.
And it was there were even plans to erect the world's tallest statue of Jesus.
Oh, like Brazil, but in America.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That didn't happen.
No, sadly.
Or we would know about it.
The property was abandoned for a while after the nursing home closed, and it basically became like a teenage hangout. A lot of people would break in.
Of course.
Spray graffiti. Yeah.
I dare you people to go in there and just like sit in the 3rd floor by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was like, it's the local haunt. So like they would try to challenge themselves to go up there and hang out, and yeah. But in 2001, Charles and Tina Mattingly purchased Waverly Hills Sanatorium and established the Waverly Hills Historical Society.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of water.
Yeah.
Condensation.
And my ring light. My ring light's like, whoa.
Halo around it.
They basically have restored a lot of the main building, and they have it on the U.S. National Register of Historical Places.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think that means that it can't be like torn down or anything. Yeah. They currently provide historical and paranormal tours of the facility, as well as public and private paranormal investigations. They even operate a haunted house. Yeah, I did, which I'm gonna get ready to tell you about. Tell you what we found.
But not the haunted house, but you want to go to the haunted house.
No. Yes, the haunted house is like every October. We were there in April. And we were thinking about going in October of this year, but I don't know if we're going to be able to or not, because there's like a bunch of other things we want to do too, and I just don't know if we can fit it all in.
I know, I wish October was longer, so we had time to enjoy it.
I know. Plus, like, driving there, hotel, everything like that. So if we don't go this year, we'll probably go next year. Because we really want to. Because let me tell you, this guy, so I walk in, I'm pretty sure I took a picture, I have footage of it, I'll try to insert it, but, I saw a coffin.
You're like, coffin?
Like, just chilling in the lobby, and I'm like, what's that about? And one of the guys there was like, it's actually a ride. I was like, what?
I want to ride it.
Yes. So it's a coffin, and he said that they only offer it during the haunted house, and there was like 2 or 3 of them, and he said you get in it and you lay down, and it simulates like your last ride.
Whoa.
Like in a hearse, and so like you get to like experience what it's like to be in a coffin, and it like moves and like simulates and everything. Yeah, and it's a
That's
ride.
Pretty wild.
Yes, and I was like,
that sounds kind of fun.
I want to go back and do that. Because I've seen there's some other place in Florida has this ride, and it's like you get in it and you lay down in kind of like a coffin type thing, but it's like as if you died in like the 1800s and you're being carried by horse and buggy. So it's probably a little more bumpy of a ride. But yeah, there is such things. And now we're going to get into some of the haunted claims. All right. So obviously there's like slamming doors.
I don't do good with that.
Sounds. What?
I don't do good with slamming doors.
You know how sometimes you have a window open and then like a door will slam? Yeah, that scares the shit out of me.
But remember when we were little, and that door was.
Yeah.
Nope, that scarred me.
I think that was
PTSD.
Something.
It was because no window in that house was open and no one else was in that house, and we were all 3 in the same room.
Yeah, and we would shine a flashlight on this door because this door
would just dead stop,
and it would stop. Every time we shined the flashlight on it, it would stop.
And then if we moved it, it would slam, open and shut. Like, I did not like that. That scared me so bad. And I have chills and goosebumps right now just talking about it.
It was right after I saw what I saw, too.
Yes.
If you want to know what I'm talking about, we actually talk about it in...
what episode is that?
What's it? Episode 29, I think.
I think so.
Spooky Story Time.
Yeah, I think it's in there.
That's the number.
You were able to name the first thing, and I was like, nope, I'm out.
That triggered you.
Like, it's happened before, I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, I do remember that. Slamming doors, though, residual sounds of people coughing, which makes sense, because it was a hospital where people would cough a lot.
Yeah.
there were reports of like lights being on in the building, like people seeing lights on in the building when there was no electricity going to that building.
Explain that.
Exactly.
Well, not telling you to, but someone, if you don't believe in paranormal, explain that.
There were shadow figures seen, especially on the 4th floor, which the 4th floor seems to be the most active floor. Remember that, because when I tell you what we had happen, it will maybe be like, whoa.
The 4th floor. Okay, got it.
Aw, Pluto.
He wants to hear the story too.
Right. Pluto. So there are shadow figures on the 4th floor. There's shadow figures seen everywhere throughout the building, but on the 4th floor it's just more active.
I don't like shadow figures either.
It's also reportedly home to an entity that some call the Creeper. You don't like shadow figures, you really ain't gonna like this.
Is that like the Hat Man?
Kinda. The Creeper is a large shadow figure that does not seem to be human, that climbs the walls and ceilings in a creepy way.
Oh my god!
Hence the name.
That's possessed.
So this next one actually gives me the creeps.
Okay, great. Here we go. I'm definitely gonna get creeped out.
That's really creepy. So have you ever heard of a doppelganger?
Yes. Oh no.
Okay, so like the first time I'd ever heard of a doppelganger, it was either in the Vampire Diaries or Waverly Hills, like something that I saw about Waverly Hills. And I don't remember which one came first. That's the only like couple of times I've heard of doppelgangers, like at the time. Now I've heard it several times, but I really think the first time I heard about it was maybe something about Waverly Hills, because I remember them saying like there was reports of like you could see like if you get like some people would get separated from like their group or whatever, and they would see a doppelganger of like their friend, but it wasn't their friend.
Yeah, that's almost like skinwalker-ish.
Yeah, and then some people would actually see themselves. Well, I don't know if people saw themselves. The report that I remember hearing about was like people would see their friend, and it wasn't their friend. But a doppelganger, there's like this old superstition that if you see your own doppelganger, it could mean bad luck or that you're gonna die.
Yeah,
and
I've heard that.
That's why it freaks me out.
I've heard that before.
Some spirits that may be haunting the property, I mean, it could be any number of spirits, but these are some maybe likely spirits. There's supposedly a spirit of a young boy called Timmy who reportedly fell off the roof at Waverly Hills and died. I don't know if that's like
you couldn't find anything on that,
but not right off. And supposedly he liked to play ball, and as reports would have it, he still plays ball today with some visitors. Like he'll roll the ball back and forth.
Sweet innocent child.
A mysterious man in white is seen like drifting through the halls.
That's kind of spooky.
He could be a former doctor.
Just floating around.
On the 5th floor, outside of room 502, is probably the most famous, is supposedly that of a spirit of a nurse who allegedly hung herself. And I don't know, have you ever heard this?
No. Why would she do that?
Okay, so well, see, there's no like 100% confirmation of it that I can find, and I've heard of variations of the story. So like there seems to be in all accounts that there was a lady who was found hanging outside of room 502, but as the reason, some speculate that she was a nurse that became pregnant out of wedlock and decided to take her own life. Others speculate that maybe she was murdered by maybe a doctor got her pregnant and like didn't want anyone to know, wife to find out. Maybe she was a mistress. Yeah. Then there's speculation I've heard of like an abortion gone wrong. And then it was staged to look like she took her own life because she died during a botched abortion. I've heard multiple different theories. It seems to be like, yeah, that there was some lady that was supposedly found hanging outside of this room.
So that
is the reason. Well, I still don't know for sure. That's what I've always heard. But I don't know if there was ever actually a death record found.
Yeah, because they were bad at keeping records back then.
So there were other reports that there was a nurse. I couldn't find this 100% confirmed, but another nurse that jumped to her death off of the property after she had found out she had tuberculosis.
That's a brutal way to go. That's a 5-story building.
Yeah. In 1954, at Waverly Hills, seemed to be an interesting one.
Ooh, what happened in 54?
And this is stuff that was confirmed. In March of that year, one employee killed another one after getting into a fight on the grounds. I think not in the main building, but in a building where some of the employees live. Yeah, they got into a fight and one of them killed the other one.
I mean, sometimes that happens when you're all angry.
Mm-hmm. And that same year in May, 47-year-old Mary Jones, a nurse at Waverly, was hit by a car and killed as she was walking across Dixie Highway just after midnight. And this was just outside of the entrance to Waverly Hills on Pages Lane, if you go to Waverly Hills.
So she was just trying to walk home.
It was just outside of it.
And unfortunately got hit. That sucks.
Yep. That was pretty.
But those are some of the famous.
Sad.
People usually see those 5 or 6.
Well, no, I don't know if they actually see them. It's just those were actual deaths that were recorded. Those 2. The other ones are speculations as to who might be haunting the property.
All right. Good to know. In case I ever go to Waverly.
All right. So my story and how Tom Green ties into this whole thing.
We need to know about Tom Green.
Daddy, would you like some sausage? Anyways, let's just start from the beginning.
Yes.
So most 10-year-olds probably just wanted to go to Disneyland, right?
I did. I still do. I haven't been. But now as an adult, I'm like Universal, maybe.
Yes. Epic Universe. Universal Monsters. Yes. Nintendo World.
Yes. Most people want to go to Disney World, not Nina. Nina don't.
Yeah, my 10-year-old self. I wanted to go to Disney World too, but I also wanted to go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium. What 10-year-old's I want to go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Mom, can we go to Waverly Hills? Your mom's probably like, what is that?
So, I was 10 years old when I first heard about Waverly Hills Sanatorium. I was watching this show called Scariest Places on Earth. And it was hosted by horror icon. I don't know if it was on the channel. I think it was on at the time. No. See, that wasn't even a thing back then, I don't think. It was ABC Family?
What? That's crazy.
Fox, something like that.
They don't do that nowadays.
Right? I don't even think it's called ABC Family anymore. I think it's called Freeform or something. But I think that's what it used to come on. But it was hosted by horror icon Linda Blair and narrated by Zelda Rubinstein. And it originally aired in October of 2001. So I had just turned 10 the month prior to this.
You're like, I want to go there. And then my 10-year-old self's like, I want to meet Emerald Lagasse. I want to go cook.
Yeah.
What?
She used to fall asleep watching the Food Network. That was she didn't watch cartoons. She watched Food Network.
Yeah. Iron Chef.
But anyways, do you know, I'm just out of curiosity, I'm not faulting you. I'm just out of curiosity, your horror knowledge. Do you know who Linda Blair or Zelda Rubinstein is?
No.
I don't even know if I'm saying Zelda's last name right. I apologize.
My horror knowledge is maybe at a 4, and yours is at a 10.
Maybe a 9.
All right, a 9.
Because I still suck at pronouncing names.
But I'm I don't know who they are.
Linda Blair.
Blair Witch Project?
She, no, you do know who she is, though. You ever seen, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but you know The Exorcist.
Yeah, I've watched
the original Exorcist.
Is that the girl?
The girl. Yep. That's Reagan.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'll break my neck. I can't.
Yeah. And Zelda, she was the lady from the Poltergeist movies with the creepy voice.
Yeah. Like, no, thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
That
one? So she narrated this. Yes. So she narrated, so it was like, it set the vibe, because like Linda was like the host, but then Zelda like narrated the locations. They'd be like, Waverly Hills in the hills of Kentucky, like, lies the sanatorium. Like, it was so freaking creepy.
Yeah, her voice is creepy to begin with. Like,
epic. Yes. But anyways, this was the show, and I was very intrigued. And it was season 2, episode 23, if you want to check it out. It's called Contagion of Fear, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It says sanitarium is what the episode's called, but it's sanatorium. Get it right. So again, there's where the confusion of these words, and I had to like look it up. Yeah. But it's not just Waverly Hills. It's got like other places that they go in that episode too. But the 15 minutes that they spent on Waverly Hills is what captivated me as a 10-year-old. So
it sucked you in for life.
In this episode, it really did. Like, in a almost like paranormal way. Like, there's no other location that I feel this way about.
I can kind of tell by your getup. You got the hat, you got the shirt, you got the mug, you got the footage, you got the experience. I can tell. Waverly Hills is your thing.
Yeah. So, like, in this episode of Scariest Places on Earth, the daughter of the current owners, Tina and Charles Mattingly, decided that since her parents had just purchased Waverly Hills, that she was going to take herself and a group of her girlfriends up there to stay all night.
Why not?
And it was a place that it was a place that scared them when they were growing up, because they always heard
it's haunted.
Reports of it being haunted, you know?
People died there. It's haunted.
And, you know, it was like the local teenage hangout, and apparently she had been there when she was in high school and got scared. So she wanted to go back and see if she could actually make it all night.
Yeah.
And
they
headed up there with a tour guide. Yeah. They headed up there with a tour guide, and he showed the girls around, and they were already hearing things like during the tour. Like, he was just showing them like where the hot spots were, and like where, like, kind of what those areas of the hospital were used for, like when it was operational. And they were already getting so freaked out. And so the tour guide dude, he wasn't staying all night. He was just showing them around, and then he was leaving.
Yeah.
And 2 of the girls at the end of the tour decided that they were going to leave with the tour guide because they were already so freaked out. And this one girl was like, if I stay, I'm just going to slow you down.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta get out of here.
I'm not going to help you.
They were already done.
Yeah. I'm done. Yeah. Get me out of here. Tour guide's enough. I'm done.
Yeah. So after even the tour guide, he was like, I wouldn't stay here all night.
He knows better.
Yeah, they ended up leaving with the tour guide. And then after those 2 left, there was about 4 or 5 girls left. And I had to rewatch this. Like, it's still been a couple months when I started doing research on this, just to refresh my memory, because I was like,
I bet you loved rewatching it though. You were just like, yeah, I'll rewatch it, no problem.
I did, but I wanted to like get the details right, so I was like, I'm gonna rewatch it.
That's smart.
But they made their way back to after the tour guide left. The girls made their way back to some of the hot spots in the building, and they heard some weird noise. Like, it was a specific noise. They couldn't quite place it, and I don't know if they heard. I can't remember. I already watched it recently, and I already forgot. But I can't remember if they hear the noise while the tour guide's there,
or after he leaves.
They hear the noise. Yeah,
but they hear a noise. At some
point, they hear this noise, and yes, and they can't quite place it. So eventually, they make their way back down to the morgue, and they see one of the slabs. They had been there before, but this time they noticed one of the slabs, like the table slab or whatever, that the body goes on, was pulled out. Nope. They were like, when we were down here earlier, they were all pushed in. And so they were like, maybe that's the noise we heard, it pulling out. But they're like the only people in the building. So
who would have pulled it out?
Yeah, one of the girls just kind of, just pushes the slab back in, and they go to walk away, like not really thinking about it. And before they left, like as they're turning around to leave, it pulls back out by itself.
Mm-mm.
And this,
I would have ran.
This freaking captivated me. I was like, no freaking way. Like, 10-year-old me had never seen anything like it, because I'd seen like horror movies, but like this was real
footage.
This was supposed to be real reality, and this slab just pulled out, and I was like, and this is coming on the heels of me having my paranormal experiences and stuff, and like I'm like so even more fascinated, so like it just captivated me, and I was like, I've got to go to this place.
And you did.
I don't know. Yeah, 20 years later.
You did.
22 years later. But this became like on my bucket list of, I want to go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Like, who at 10 years old is like, that's what I want to do?
You. I'm sure there's other people out there like that too.
I'm sure. I'd love to meet them. I feel like a weirdo. But it was like 4 a.m. They made it to 4 a.m. and then they ran out of the building after this. So they didn't make it quite all night.
They made it to 4 though.
Yeah.
The witching hour is 3, so.
Yeah, they made it past that.
They survived the witching hour.
Yeah. And I didn't hear of like Waverly Hills again for like a few years until like Ghost Hunters went there.
Okay.
Ghost Hunters, the TAPS team, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. We actually got to meet them last year.
That's cool.
I even have Steve's book here. He actually loves Waverly Hills maybe as much as I do.
There you go.
Probably maybe more. Steve, he has a whole chapter in this book, A Life with Ghosts, about Waverly Hills, and I'll share one story, but you need to buy the book. He has other locations in here as well. It's a great read. I'm probably going to reread it because it was so good, and they autographed it for me.
Oh, that's sweet.
Steve and Tango. Yeah. I love those guys. So, one thing, Steve and Tango are like setting up for one of the Waverly Hills investigations. They went there. They did a live episode there, and then I think they went there like a couple of times outside of the live. And he said that they were setting up, and Steve kind of sees something out of the corner of his eye, and he's like, oh, it's probably just my reflection in the window. Yeah. And he tells Tango, he was like, oh, sorry, I got freaked out. I saw my own reflection in the window. And then Tango's like, Steve, there's no window.
What? So what did he see?
So
a shadow figure?
A shadow figure, which is one of the many claims. As he's setting up,
not like ready for it. He's not full investigating at that moment.
I'm pretty sure that's when they were setting up, yeah. And
that's crazy.
I was like, oh my goodness.
That's pretty cool.
I love it. I love that book, and I love hearing his firsthand accounts. And
so a nice paranormal read.
Yes, very. Also, speaking of ghost hunters, Amy Bruni has a book called Food to Die For, and she has a recipe and a little history on Waverly Hills in this book as well. Highly, highly recommend.
Let me know when you try it.
I have not met Amy, but I want to.
I'm sure you do.
I will. It's a vegetable soup.
Yeah, it looks really good though.
Like they would have had. Oh yeah, it sounds good. And it sounds pretty simple. I need to try it. I've always been interested in like spooky things, and so like me and my husband, like we've been together for like almost half my life, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
33. We started dating when I was 17. We've been together ever since, and
that's so wild.
We share a love for the paranormal. He's a skeptic.
You're a believer.
Big time, because he's never really had anything. happen. I'm a hardcore believer, and we've always talked about going to some haunted locations and things together, but we just never have. And then I was like, last January, his birthday's in March, and I was like, what am I going to get him? And he shows me, he's like, oh, hey, look, we have like a list of comedians that we want to see, and Tom Green's one of them. And he released that he was going on tour, and my husband showed me, and I was like, I'm going to try to get tickets for his birthday.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at locations, because I was going to try for Atlanta, because that's usually where I go, so I can also like see you guys,
hang out with the fam.
Yeah. So I was like, kind of looking through the tour dates and seeing if he was coming to like Atlanta, and then I saw he was going to be in Louisville, and I was like, that's where Waverly Hills is. The wheels start turning.
Ding ding.
So I look up on their website to see if they had any investigations going on, and tickets for like the time that we would be there for Tom Green. And come to find out, the stars aligned, and I was able to get tickets to Tom Green at the Louisville Comedy Club, and then I was able to get tickets, and that was on a Thursday night, and I was able to get tickets to Waverly Hills to do an investigation on Friday, the very next day.
So exciting.
So I was like freaking out that it worked out. I had vacation time. I was able to take off work. I mean, it's just like, it couldn't have been more perfect. And I had asked Drew before I bought tickets. I was like, so you know how we always talked about going ghost hunting? I was like, would you really do it? I was like if we ever got to go to like Waverly Hills, and then I think I named off a couple more
to not
big
give it
locations.
away.
Yeah, I was like, would you really go? Because they're supposed to be really haunted. Like, would you really do it?
Or will you
and he was
back
like,
out?
Yeah. And part of me was like, will I back out?
Yeah, will I be able to
do it or
the damn
what?
thing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, because I never really actually gone ghost hunting other than what we did when we were kids. So it was very fitting that our first ever like actual paranormal investigation was at Waverly Hills Sanatorium, which is this place that I've felt drawn to for like 22 years.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's so crazy.
I'm glad it worked out though.
And me too. It was awesome. And so I ended up getting VIP tickets to Tom Green. And what that means is it just guarantees you a spot in the first couple of rows, because I just wanted to be close. And
weren't you like front row?
Front row, dead center.
Yeah.
Because we got there early. Because it was just based on when you got there. Because you were guaranteed first two rows no matter what. But
which table was
we were
whenever
one of the first people there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was based on how they seated you, was based on how you got there. And we just got there early because we didn't have anything else to do. Once we got to the hotel and checked in, we just walked over to the club because it was right there.
Nice.
And front row. Yeah, I could have touched Tom Green.
That's crazy.
I wanted to. Yeah. So then after the show, I was like hoping that we can meet Tom Green. Because like, if you don't know anything about Tom Green, like, he's actually like a big reason podcast even probably exists, because the way that he would do content and the way that, I mean, he was just revolutionary. And I wish that I had told him that, because I got to meet him after the show, but I was like, so there was a line of people behind me and I was so
rushed.
Like tongue tied. I'm like, it's Tom Green. Yeah. And I didn't want to like sit there and like take up a bunch of time, but I walked up and like we took a picture with him, and he had his dog with him. His dog's name's Charlie, and he had his dog with him on tour and on stage, and super sweet, chill dog. And Charlie was kind of like, he propped Charlie up on the like counter thing behind him, and then he was just having a smoke and just chilling and letting people come up and talk to him.
Living life.
And so Yeah, and he's just chill guy, and we took a picture with him. We're like, can we take a picture with you? And he's like, sure. And I was like, it was a great set. I was like, it's so like awesome to meet you. And he's like, yeah, he's like, it got weird for a minute, didn't it? And I was like, no, it's like, I thought it was great.
If it didn't get weird, I'd be concerned.
I was like, after I walked away, I was like, damn, I was like, I should have been like, also, I have a podcast and thank you because you're part of the reason I have a podcast.
That always happens, though. You always think of the best things to say when the moment's passed. Yeah, you're like, oh, I should have said this. So if I get
to meet him again, I'm prepared. I know what I'm going to say.
Give him a sticker. Give him a card.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to listen, but you're the reason for
this has started. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. But he was so nice, and he was filming too, like his Instagram. He was like live on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I got back to the hotel and I was like, dude, I think we might have been on his Instagram live. Because we were one of the first people that walked up. Yeah, we were. And I ended up screenshotting that shit and like
saving it.
Because and I saved it, and I'll try to insert the video if I can.
Please do.
But yeah, we end up on Tom Green's Instagram live.
That's pretty cool.
And so
the night before you go hunting.
Yeah. So Tom Green is not only the reason that we, part of the reason that we have a podcast. He is the reason I finally got to go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yeah, he is the reason. Because without Tom Green, you wouldn't have went there.
No, I mean, I probably would have kept putting it off because I forget I'm an adult and I can do things. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, like
we may look young, Green. But we are an adult. We are old.
And speaking of Tom Green, just want to plug in here that if you didn't know, he has 3 new things on Amazon Prime. He has a comedy special called I Got a Mule. He has a documentary, which was my favorite of the 3, and it's called This Is the Tom Green Documentary. And it's like, if you watch that, you will understand why he's like the reason for podcast.
He is Tom Green.
Yeah, and Tom Green Country, which is like about his life now. He moved from LA back to Canada, and he bought a farm, and he's just living life, and he seems really happy, and I'm really happy for him. And shout out
Tom Green.
Tom Green. Okay. So now, the next night we go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium.
Yes, with all your equipment.
Let you know a little bit. Yes, we didn't have an Ovilus at the time. We have an Ovilus now, so we didn't have that at Waverly. So I really want to go back with that. But we had a REM pod, we had a S-Box, we had, I just happen to have this on my desk right now, a digital recorder. We had cameras, and I think that was about it. We have since gotten more things, but that's all we had at the time. Like I said earlier, Waverly Hills Sanatorium offers historical and paranormal tours, as well as public and private paranormal investigations. If we did a public one, which I'll tell you about, but if you want to do a private investigation, you can rent out the whole building for like $1,000. Spots go on sale every year, New Year's Day for that year.
To book your date.
Quickly.
Yeah.
You can have up to 10 people, so it's really good. A lot of paranormal groups and things will buy it because then they can split the cost, so it's not that bad. So they do sell out pretty quickly. You get 8 hours for the private investigation. Like the public, you only get 6 hours. And you get access to like all 5 floors and the body chute. There's a guide and security on the property if you need them. So it's pretty cool. We want to do that, but we just don't have like 10 friends that are into the paranormal. So maybe if you're into paranormal, hit me up. But yeah. I have friends, just not 10 that are really that I can think of that
I would want to go to Waverly for 8 hours.
So we, like I said, did the public investigation, and we also did the paranormal tour. So the paranormal tour was like $30. It was 2 hours long. I wanted to do that because I'd never been there, and I wanted to go through the tour, so I kind of had a layout of
and like
the building
where to go
and the history, hot spots. Yes. So we decided to do that. And so we got there at like 10 o'clock, and we did from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And then at 12 o'clock, the public paranormal investigation started, and it was from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning. So that was $75 a ticket, and you got 6 hours. The downside to public investigations was it's like 50 people.
Oh.
But that building is so huge.
But still, that's a lot of people.
We were alone, like, in certain parts of the building, like, a lot of the night, like, more than I thought we would be, because it was so many people. And it's such a big building. But the downside is you can't do certain things, like trying to get an EVP or something like that.
With
like,
someone else around talking is kind of hard.
Yeah, because it would kind of
or if there's like
evidence,
50 people there trying to get the same like reaction, what if they're like, I'm not giving any of y'all nothing?
Right, or like, let's say the ghosts are going to go talk to those people, but not the other, you know, like, I don't know.
Whatever they're called to.
You know, just so many, it kind of interferes with certain things that you might want to do as far as like trying to set up investigation. But honestly, I've been on, that was my first one, my first ever,
first
like,
of many.
We've been on several since then, and so it's like an addiction now, but,
like tattoos. You can't stop.
Yeah, and everybody, I will say, everyone that I've been to personally, everybody's been very respectful. They don't stay in one area too long to try to give everybody a chance to experience the hot spots. Everybody's really nice, really respectful. They'll like share stories. They'll be like, hey, have you guys got anything?
Oh, that's
and
cool.
they'll be like, well, we just got this. So it's like you're gossiping about, like, oh, I'm going to go over there and try.
This is what I found.
Yeah, what'd you find? Yeah. So it actually makes it more fun.
And you meet
people. Can kind of like in between. Yeah, you meet people and you share your stories. So it actually is, I highly recommend it. But it is hard to do certain experiments and things like that because it can
with 50 plus people. Yeah.
But with that said, we were still able to capture some pretty interesting stuff.
Let's hear it.
So first of all, this may or may not have been paranormal. We were on the paranormal tour before the investigation started. We get to the 4th floor, which I'm super excited about because it's like supposed to be the most active floor. And we get almost to the end of the hallway where we're getting ready to go up to the 5th floor. And there's like 2 shadow people.
2?
Right? 2. Our tour guide stops the tour. She's like, she calls security. She's like, there's people in the building. She's like, I don't know if they're from the other tour. I don't know who the hell they are, but nobody's supposed to be up here.
Like, help, get up here.
And she called security. Yeah, because she's like, those were legit people. But, like, I looked at them, and I almost ran after them because I was just like, I wanted to know, like,
who are you?
Person or a shadow person? Yeah, but I stayed with a group because I didn't want to get in trouble.
Or murdered.
I remember I looked, there was, there was, like a light kind of coming in from the moonlight because it was dark, and I could see the 2 shadow figures, and like if they were people, all I'm gonna say is they must have been in all black, including having like a blackout mask because I saw no facial features.
No way.
Okay. So then we hear the tour guide. We get up to the 5th floor. Security's checking everywhere. They're like, we can't find anybody. They didn't find them. Right? They didn't find them.
That's
but the
sketchy.
Tour guide was like very adamant that they were like legit people.
Yeah, like get these people out of here.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I didn't see facial fear. I didn't see anything. I mean,
so to you, like, it was a shadow figure, not a person.
Yeah. That's what I think. Like,
and they couldn't find anyone.
They couldn't find them.
Like that.
Yeah, and like I don't know where they would have gone because of where we were and where the staircase was. I don't know another way.
You would have heard them.
I don't know.
Probably.
Maybe there was another way. Yeah, like something. We didn't hear nothing.
That's crazy.
So I was just like, and I mean, they were like, I mean, everybody saw it. I mean, so I don't know. It was crazy. And
That's
so,
weird.
like, the fact they didn't find them, yeah, they were, like, all blacked out. I'm like, so my husband, of course, he's a skeptic. He's like, they staged that. They probably
That's
staged
part of the
that.
tour.
Yeah, he's like, that's probably part of it. I was like, okay, if they staged it, then they probably would have said, there's shadow figures over there. They wouldn't have been like, those are legit people.
Security, I need you
the
now.
Tour guide didn't. Yeah, the tour guide never said it was a shadow person or anything. They thought it was legit people. And I was like, if they staged it, they wouldn't be like, oh, we have people breaking in all the time.
Yeah,
like here's
no
a great
way.
example. Like, no.
They want you to feel safe, too.
Right. So I'm just like, I kind of think it was shadow people, but I don't know because it was just really weird situation.
Yeah, that is weird.
So that was how we started off our night. And there was a dead bird.
What?
This is funny. Yeah, so it's not funny that the bird was dead, but we get down, I think it was on the third floor, second or third floor, in the, like, it was in kind of a gathering area room, and my husband's like, look at this prop decoration.
Oh my god.
He thinks they
bought this
the bird
at Spirit Halloween. Look at this thing.
So I look at the bird, I'm filming it. There's like a trail of like fluids coming from the dead bird, right? Like it's obviously real.
Oh
like
god.
It's dead and
it's not
like,
a prop.
Yeah. And he's like, nah. And I'm like, dude, it's a dead bird. Like, this isn't even anything paranormal. It's just a bird.
Yeah, what
the heck?
And
you still, like, think they faked this. So we go, I asked the tour guide. And she's like, yeah, it happens a lot. They fly in here and they just, like, run into stuff and die.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She's like, it's real. Like, it's a regular
We
occurrence.
didn't put that there. This is a real dead bird.
I'm pretty sure on an episode of Ghost Hunters when they went there was, like, a dead bird, too.
That's pretty weird.
Like, that's so weird.
I mean, I guess what she says is true then. They just run into stuff and die.
Yeah, I was like, there you go. There's proof that it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So it was just funny that he thought they placed that there too. And I'm just like, you're just making up excuses because you don't want to be a believer. And
silly. It's a real dead bird.
That's an example of my husband. Yeah. So as soon as the paranormal investigation part started, I knew how to get to the morgue thanks to the tour.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's the first place you wanted to go?
I told Drew, I was like, yeah, because of my 10-year-old self in that scene in the like, going to the morgue. So I told Drew, I was like, as soon as they say we can go,
we're running.
There was the back staircase. I was like, go for it. I said, we're going to the morgue. He's like, okay. So we were like ready.
Y'all had a plan.
We run down the staircase. We get to the morgue. Yeah, we get there first. We get in there. Love my husband. So I'm scared of bugs. I'm not scared of like getting in the body. I'm scared there's like a spider.
Yeah.
My husband, even though he's afraid of spiders too, doesn't even think about it. He's like, I'm getting in the body cooler. I was like,
no.
Okay.
No.
So yes. He hops right in there. We try to do before people get down there, we try to do the Estes method, which if you don't know, it's kind of like if you see it on paranormal shows, they plug like headphones into a spirit box, like the sound, and you can't hear anything else because it's just like full blast in your ear, and then the other person asks questions,
and then you hear the response,
what they're asking,
and you say
hear the response and you say it. Yeah, so that's what we were trying to do. So he puts on the headphones, plugs in the spirit box, hops in the body cooler. Like 5 seconds, we're ready to go. Yeah, we had a plan. So he didn't really get any like significant responses when he was in there. And like after a little while, somebody else comes down there. I mean, we were down there for like enough time, but like this other couple walks in, and it's like this cute little girl and this macho man. And my husband's climbing out of the body cooler, and he's like, oh, hey. He's like, you want to get in?
It's your turn.
He's trying to be polite.
Yeah, here you go. You can get in.
Like, this macho guy, he was like, nope.
I'm not getting in there. Good. No, thank you.
That's why it's kind of fun to have other people around, like, honestly, because, like, we had a good time. Yeah.
The stories.
And he was just like, nope. And his eyes got real big when he saw Drew coming out of the body cooler. Like, what? Y'all are crazy. So they didn't stay too long down there. And then we tried the Estes method again with me in the morgue. I didn't get in the body cooler, but there was a chair. So I sat there in the chair. And we didn't know it at the time, but I wasn't really getting any, like, responses that were making sense to the questions he was asking.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, though, on the camera, which I saw days later when I reviewed the footage, there's, like, an anomaly that kind of goes into the screen.
Weird.
And then, like, comes out.
Like an orb?
Yeah, it's just, like, this, like, orb. Yeah. And there was no other, we didn't capture anything else like that the rest of the time. So, like, that makes me think it wasn't a bug. It wasn't dust particles.
Because you would have seen that on more footage.
Something. Yeah, so it's just like, maybe it was something. But I'm not saying it was definitely a ghost. Like, I go into these things, like, with a skeptic attitude as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I just couldn't really explain that. So then we decided to go to the tunnel, the body chute. And my husband feels very strongly, and he's not very emotional. He's very, like, he's a man.
As men will be.
Emotions very much. I'm, like, ready to go into this thing. I'm like, I want to walk to the end of it and back. And because our tour guide actually threw some balls down just so we could get an idea of how long it was, so you can hear it bounce.
Yeah.
And I mean, it goes on for like 30 seconds.
Wow.
Long. Yeah. And she said, if you want, you can go down there and retrieve the balls and bring them back for us. So I was like, let's go try to get the balls. And that was the plan. We were going to do that. And we get in there and he's just like he
didn't want to?
Like, no.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like,
why?
So I stopped because I'm like,
what do you mean, no?
What's going on with him?
Yeah. He's acting weird.
Yeah, because I'm like, I know, I don't see him act like this.
What do you mean, no?
Yeah. He gets in a body cooler, fine. The morgue was fine. That didn't feel, like, negative. You get in that body, that felt there was something watching you.
That's creepy.
Something there. And I didn't feel it at first, but I was just, like, trusting his instincts. He was like, no. And we looked to just make sure, like, no one else was there, because, again, it's a public thing. There's people there. So, we just kind of don't go down into the
You're like, body. No, never mind.
Shoot, yeah. And I'm like, man, I really wanted to go down the bed. I also didn't want to go by myself after he was being weird.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want something to happen to me alone.
Yeah, like, what's up with this? So we tried to do, like, an EVP down there because it was pretty quiet. There was no one down there. And we didn't really capture anything, but, like, he had feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have a feeling or anything until we go to leave. And then I feel like this feeling, like, you know how, like, when someone's right behind you?
Mm-hmm.
I felt that. And I was like, to the point where I turned around right before we get out of the body chute. Yeah, I check and then I'm like, you're not allowed to follow us. Like, I say that out
leave
loud
us alone.
because I feel it so strongly. And so that was interesting, just like how he reacted and then how I felt when we left. But the rest of the place didn't really feel like that until we got to the 4th floor. But before we went to the 4th floor, we went back out past the morgue. We went into, like, the lobby on the 1st floor. And we were, like, at this point, we're a couple hours into the investigation, and we'd been hanging out mostly in the morgue and the body chute. And we were like, we haven't really gotten anything. And those are, like, 2 hot spots. But that's how paranormal works. Like,
you never know. Yeah.
Don't always. Yeah. So we were literally getting equipment out of our book bag. We got the REM pod out, and we were getting the S box out, and just trying to set up to do some other experiment because we were kind of like by ourselves in the lobby for a minute. We turn on the S box and we're still kind of shuffling and setting up. So it says stuff, but sometimes like just radio things come through that doesn't make any sense or doesn't sound like anything. And we didn't really hear it at first. Luckily, I had my camera rolling and we were recording on the S box. And so I ended up hearing it days later when we get home and I'm reviewing the evidence. But we were talking about how we were bummed out that we weren't really getting anything. And a voice comes through and clear as day. Didn't hear it at the time, but heard it after the fact. Says 4th floor.
What?
Yeah, it's like something
so like
telling
go to
us
the 4th floor to go to the if you want to see something.
Yeah. So about not even 5 minutes later, the tour guide comes down, one of the tour guides. She's like, hey, how's it going? How you guys had any experiences? And we were like, no, not really. And she was like, have you tried the 4th floor? Kid you not.
Weird. The spirit box just told me to do that.
Go to the 4th floor. Yeah. And she wasn't nowhere near when that
crazy.
happened. And like we didn't even hear it.
So did you guys go to the 4th floor?
So after that, after she told us to, because we didn't hear the spirit box at the time.
Yeah, you didn't know.
After she told us to, we were like, okay, so yeah, we'll pack it up and head up there. And we got up there, and I don't really think anybody was up there. Like, I think we passed some people on the way, but when we walked through, it didn't really. I never saw anybody up there, but we went to the operating room first. That's where the operating room is. So a lot of people died.
Yeah.
And so we go in there and we're setting up and Drew starts being weird again.
Oh no.
And he wasn't like freaked out. He was just like overwhelmingly sad. And I'm like, I think he's like sensitive or something.
Yeah.
He was like,
his energy's
like, sad
off
in here, like the energy. Yeah, and he said that. He said it's just sad, like the energy in this room. And it's like he could feel the sadness or something. And so I was like, that's interesting that he was feeling that, because I wasn't really feeling
he usually doesn't talk like that.
No. So I was like, what is
happening to my husband right now?
Yeah, so we stay in there for a little bit, nothing really happens, and then we go out and explore the rest of the 4th floor. Now, this is where we saw the shadow figures during the tour. What I think shadow figures during the tour. So we're exploring the 4th floor. I kid you not, I give him a camera. I have a camera. I'm like, record some stuff. When I'm recording, I'm walking through there with my camera, like pointing like in every room, trying to see something walk by, some shadow figure or whatever, because it's hard to see other than like with your IR light from your camera. So we're like, that's how I'm filming. Then I look when I get home, I'm reviewing his footage. He's literally filming his feet. I'm like, we go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and I give you a camera, and you give me your feet. Because he said he was like, he didn't want to see anything in those rooms. But yeah, it's like he was experiencing something. Like, it's like he felt something. And I did too once we got out of the operating room. It felt kind of like something was watching us. Something was there.
I don't like that feeling.
And it was just really creepy vibes. But like, we never really saw anything else. We set up a REM pod at the end of the hallway and tried to get some sort of reaction before we left the floor, and we didn't really get anything. So I don't know. It was just a lot of like feelings, and my husband like was like
acting weird.
I mean, he never acts like that. Yeah, so I really feel like he was feeling something.
Definitely. And that's creepier.
But yeah, kind of. Yeah, because I'm like, I've never seen him act like this.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how you kept your calm. I would have been like, are you okay? Did something attach to you? Like, what's going on? Are you good?
No, I wanted to see things. I just didn't want to see a doppelganger. And that's the thing. I almost broke my own rule. So I was always like, if I ever go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium, I'm not going to separate from whoever I'm with because I don't want to see
and you did.
potentially their doppelganger or anything. Well, I almost did. So they give you a couple breaks throughout the night where you can go out to your car and get something or like whatever, smoke, whatever. So my husband was like, I think when they give us a break, I'm going to go to the car. And I was like, cool. I was like, I'm going to go back up to the 4th floor. And he's kind of looked at me like,
no, you're not. What? Not by yourself.
Like, you
I wonder if something was attached to you, trying to like separate y'all.
It's like, I felt this weird freaking pull to the 4th floor. I felt this weird pull to Waverly Hills ever since I saw it. It's weird. And the fact that we end up, again, we didn't know at the time, we got that EVP thing coming through the spirit box that said
4th floor.
4th floors. So it's just weird. And I almost broke my own rule.
I'm glad you didn't.
When my husband, he looked at me like.
And you're like, okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, nope, not doing that.
You gotta be careful.
He ended up not even going to the car. So I think he was afraid I would take off.
That you would start running to the 4th floor.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was so weird. And but that was our trip to Waverly Hills and getting to see Tom Green. And
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It really was. It really, truly was. And I can't wait to go back. Like I said, we want to try to rent out the whole facility. But the public investigation was fine. I highly recommend it. I was a little worried at first.
But it wasn't as crowded.
With so many other people.
They're respectful.
It wasn't? Because, the building is
they're doing the same thing you're doing. So they don't want you in the same room they're in. So if they go in a room and they see you, they're probably like, oh, my bad, I'll come back.
Yeah, everybody was so nice. So
10 out of 10, she would recommend.
I highly recommend. Yes.
Woo!
But
Waverly Hills!
Pretty much wraps up our first episode of 2025.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Stay spooky.